Hello and welcome along to the next instalment of my camper conversion YouTube channel. So this video is going to be inspecting inspecting the floor of this little Daihatsu Hijet that I've just bought, that I'm just about to start converting. The first job I ever do is to take up any ply flooring, if there is any in the first place, give the full floor plan a full inspection, make sure it's good, give it a good clean down. Then I'll sometimes lay the ply and insulate on top of the ply, or other times I will insulate the metal and then lie the ply on top of that. And that's what I'm going to do this time. I've got some XPS sheeting. This is underfloor insulation sheeting. So I'm going to lift the ply up, give it a good check over, give it a good clean down. I'm going to lay this XPS sheeting down. These are 60 by 100. So I only need 4 sheets for the entire floor of this, and those come in a 10 pack, so I'm going to have plenty left over for my next van. So once they're down, I'll be relaying the ply back down. Thankfully the ply is in really good condition. I am going to make a little trim around the very top, because if for whatever reason the gearbox cover had to come off, at the moment the ply hasn't been cut large enough to allow access to the bolts that actually hold the cover in place. So if worst case scenario at some point in the future the gearbox cover had to come off, at the moment the full floor would need to come up. As things stand, that's fine if it's an empty van, but if it's fully converted on top, then obviously you'd need to take the full conversion out, then take the floor up. So for the sake of just doing a little extra trim going around the gearbox cover, that'll future-proof that, and then it means that if worst case scenario sometime in the future the van ever did need any gearbox work, then you'd just be able to take the cover straight off without doing the disassembling the entire conversion. As I say, I've already done a similar sort of thing on the previous Hijet that I have done, so if you haven't seen that already, do have a look on my channel. That's fully documented there for everybody to see. So first things first, I've already unscrewed the flooring. I haven't had it up yet, I've just finished unscrewing it, so I thought I'd get the video started now. So I'm going to get this up, give the floor a full check over, see what it's like, and start cleaning and sweeping, and hopefully it's going to be a good floor and it's not going to need any work doing to it. So just giving the floor a really quick look, and it looks pretty good condition. I can't really see any issues. Obviously it's going to need a full clean down, sweep down, a wash down before I start doing anything to it. But other than what looks like a bit of surface rust just over in that corner there, that just needs knocking back and rust treating, and then priming, skimming over, priming. That should be okay. I can't see anything that's going to need any sort of replacement metal work or anything, so yeah, the floor looks fine. As is, it's just going to be a case now of getting it all clean, getting it look as good as almost as new. It's never going to look as new, but I'll get it cleaned out, and as I say, we'll get the insulation down and get the ply back on and get the safety flooring fitted. So I've finished doing all of the repairs to the actual floor plan inside, so now I'm back on with laying the insulation down. I'm just going to do an extra trim just around the gearbox cover around there, and then I'm about to lie the ply back down, but again I'm also going to trim the ply just that little bit further back, just because as things stand it covers that gearbox cover, and I'd rather it was fully accessible just in case worst case scenario you needed to get in to do any work to it. So as I say, I'm just going to trim this insulation back, trim back the ply and get that laid down. I might put another layer of this XPS on top of that as well. We'll see what it looks like, but it's coming along nicely. Right, so I've just cut down the Altro that I've got. No, it's not Altro, it's Polyfloor. It's another variety of safety flooring. It's still rubber, it's still a hell of a lot thicker than bog standard lino stuff. It's still the type of stuff that you get in your commercial properties, offices, stuff like that. So there's going to be no worries about puncturing this type of flooring. I say it's super tough, super strong. There's just no form or anything like that just to puncture through easily. So I've cut it down, I've cut it oversize, so now I'm going to lay it into place and then do some final trims just to be sure that it's nice, neat and flush and as tight as possible. It would be quite hard to cut it exactly to shape and size while it's out of the van, especially because the ply itself isn't an exact template either. So I'll get this laid down, get another sharp knife out, start trimming this down, and then it'll be ready to pretty much get glued down onto the ply. Right, so I couldn't really film much of the trimming there just because the battery in the camera was dead, so while that's been charging up I've been trimming around all of the floor itself. It's now pretty much ready to get stuck down, but because I've been used to using some UVA mats underneath the flooring recently, without it, with the flooring just being straight on the ply, it feels really hard, really solid. So I'm going to put another layer of the XPS mats down. As I said, these are a lot thinner than the ones I've been using recently, pretty much half the thickness. So these have actually been laid underneath the ply. Quite hard to see that. There you go, you can just see that underneath there. And then I'm going to put another layer on top of the ply, then I'm going to lay this down on top of it, and it's all going to be secured with Trim Fix high temperature spray adhesive. You don't need high temperature stuff for the floor, you do for the ceilings and the walls, but for the floor you can get away with normal adhesive. But I've just got a bulk purchase of the Trim Fix, so that's what I'll be using for everything basically. So now this is all trimmed and shaped just to how I want it, I'm going to take this back up, trim some of these back down to shape, stick these down, stick this on top of those, and then that'll be the flooring done. I've also got a cut out just spare to cover over the gearbox cover. I've done the trim in the ply so you can actually get into the gearbox cover mounting bolts without having to take the full flooring up as well. So if access was ever needed to the gearbox, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier than what it would have been. So as I'll get this back up, get the insulation laid on top of the ply, so then it's pretty much double layered with insulation. Then we'll get this laid back down. So there we go, there is the flooring all finished in this little Daihatsu Hijet. Other than maybe a little bit of finishing metal trim, but I don't have any of that at the moment. I'm gonna, if that's going to go on, that'll be pretty much one of the last things to go on as well. I don't want to put any final finishing touches on while it's still pretty much still a bare van. But it's fully insulated under and on top of the ply. I've done some cutouts for the battery box because that's where the battery is on these Hijets, at the very back of the boot rather than at the front. So that's all been cut out for that. I've done a cutout for the gearbox cover as well. That's just a loose cover there just to hide it away more than anything else. I'm going to build around that section with a corner sofa bed, so that's still all going to get fully hidden away underneath the bed anyway. But it does mean, as I mentioned earlier, if any access did need to be done into the gearbox, at least you're not then having to rip up the entire ply flooring all the way back with the conversion just to be able to get into the cover. Now all the bolts are accessible. Now I've cut a little bit of ply back, so if worst case scenario access was needed, it should be pretty easy compared to having to strip back an entire conversion just to get in. But I think it looks pretty nice, pretty neat. I say it's really hard wearing stuff this as well. It's not just normal lino, this is rubber flooring, so you can pretty much stand on screws and nails. It's not going to puncture through, or not as easily as normal flooring lino would anyway. That's why I always recommend the safety flooring for inside vans, just because normal lino you can puncture it too easily and then all of a sudden you've ruined your flooring. So safety flooring always gets a thumbs up from me. That's what I've always gone for my vans. I say I think it looks pretty nice, pretty neat. So now this is in, I'm going to crack on with the installation of the panels. That'll be covered in another video coming soon on my channel. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, do give it that good old thumbs up. Have a look at my channel as well. If you haven't already, there's loads and loads of content on there. everything showing the conversion of our VW T4 high top, Ford Connect, that's just been finished and is about to go in for paint, so there'll be videos on my channel of that. I'm going to be starting a T5 later on as well, and every job I do to this Hijet is also going to be documented there as well. So have a look at my channel, click the subscribe button below if you haven't already, give this video a good old thumbs up, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, cheers.